But welcome again, Workshop Wednesday. Today, we're going to be talking about leveraging partnerships. Now, we're not talking about leveraging a business partnership. We're talking about networking and creating partnerships. And Carrie, you've actually taught classes on this, right? So you could
I
do
feel
this
like,
with your eyes closed.
yeah,
So go ahead and close your
I,
eyes.
yeah. So I feel like this is my favorite topic, but I think every week I say that, so it's getting old. But trust me, this is my favorite
This
topic.
is really your favorite topic.
This really is my favorite topic. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah. So I can relate to many of you who are tuned in, who are like, how do you pronounce it? Solopreneurs. Is that the right way to say it?
You
And
got it.
feeling quite small and overwhelmed with all the options of QuickBooks. And every day there's a new product they've merged with or added or feature, and it's a lot to keep up with. Back when I started supporting QuickBooks, we only had QuickBooks Pro Desktop. So the updates just slowly happen. And then when QBO hit the scene and that was designed to add apps, all of a sudden we can offer like what a mountain of solutions for different industries. So it became obvious to me and that I had to do something. I couldn't be the expert in everything as much as I tried. Did you kind of find the same thing, Dan? I know you were in the industry
Yeah,
for a
I'm
bit, but
I'm an anomaly, uh, where I kind of
big words
worked
today.
my way through into it in different departments. You know, started off with QuickBooks Desktop and then went into the point of sale support world. So I just kind of picked up things as I went along and just uh, remembered things. And the main thing that I remembered is that it's too much to know. I don't need to know the answers. I just need to know where to go to find the answers, and that could be Google. That could be knowledge base articles. That could be School of Bookkeeping. Uh, so there's all sorts of places to go to find the answers. You just don't need to know them all at the off the top of your head. So that was kind of like my path through the inner workings of Intuit. And then of course the last 10 years I was talking to folks like you, like an accountant, so that would call in and need help. So it was really a good way to apply all of those things, because sometimes they would call about enterprise, sometimes they would call about QBO, sometimes they would call about payments, payroll, all of those things that feed into QuickBooks. And occasionally I got the point of sale call too. So got to keep my teeth sharpened, I guess is the the phrase, so that it just kept uh, staying, current with me. Um, so here we are. So now you have an interesting perspective because you actually created a network of partners through your history with your parent company, Complete Business Group, right?
Right. And then I learned this word that makes everybody anxious. So don't freak out when I use it. It's like the word balance sheet. People are like, what is it? So there's this word niche, however you pronounce it. Niche.
I did find out that either pronunciation is correct. It's just
There you go.
whichever you
So
prefer, potato, potato.
if you'd like to sound fancy, you can say niche. And if you want to sound like me, you say niche. Oh, anyway, let's move on. So when people would say, what's your specialty? I would break out in hives because I didn't want to make my net so narrow that when I fished, I only got, one little baby minnow. So, you could get as specific as I will only support cigar shops. But what I did was I learned that there were certain, when I went over my history of customers, I thought, okay, which ones made me happy and enjoy what I do? Now, if the answer is none, then you're in the wrong business. And that can happen too. And that's fine because bookkeeping isn't for everyone, or accounting, or setting up QuickBooks. There's different pieces of it that you could get involved in. It would just be the website guy. I mean, there's different parts of what you can do. But when I thought about the projects I really loved, it doesn't really sound like dentist or restaurants. I love having a customer come across my desk that has tried to set it up and failed. Why? Because I can put it all back together. So I loved when someone would come to me, because in my past life prior to QuickBooks, I learned how to do payroll and how to set it up and how to make it work and make sure that quarterly returns balance are beautiful and are good to go. I knew how to do that from beginning to end. So I knew how important it was to put people in full service payroll. But to get there, they can't do it unless you have a good agent that does support. And often they don't know the ins and outs of how to set it up. So I've had customers come to me with 1 to 200 employees with 401k, pre-tax, post-tax, and all that nastiness, and how to get it set up. And they did everything wrong. We had to take that sweater and take all those rows of knitting out and start over because they skipped crucial steps and created a nightmare that the IRS would have had a lot of fun with. So those are the kind of projects I love. Now, you have to have a customer that's willing to pay. Not everybody is willing to pay. So that's the first one that I realized I love those. And the second one is setting up inventory, and it's the same idea. If they've already knit that sweater and they've done it all screwed up, all the reporting is wrong, so I'd have to go and perform surgery. Absolutely love doing that. Now, is the customer willing to pay up to $10,000 for me to do that? Probably not. But those are the kind of customers that I learned I loved. Now, somebody calls me and says, I've got nonprofit and I need to track donations and I need a balance sheet by class. And I know I can tell them what product to go in, but I don't really, So I found my very first partner at a conference that said, I love that stuff. We're sitting at lunch. And I said, oh, these nonprofits are coming across my desk. What do I do? So that's the journey of how I started my very first partner.
So you you're like if we want to use a Dan analogy here, this is like food prep. Like you're making a recipe. You would prefer to do the prep work and get it all chopped up, and then the business owner then just compiles the ingredients, and then poof, you have a souffle or or a cake, right, or whatever. That. They do the baking, they do the actual cooking. We don't want to talk about cooking the books though, but we do. Yeah. They do the actual cooking, but you do the actual prep work, and like the Food Network, they make it seem so easy. Like, oh, look, I just happen to have a whole thing of onions chopped for me here, and I just dump it pre-measured in. So that's kind of like what you specialize in, and I'm kind of very similar to that. I prefer the setup stuff, the conversion, getting them from one platform to the other, or getting it, set up implementation, so that they're, automatically
set up for success.
Right. So they don't need my participation, after the fact. Now, so to that end, you found someone that would like to work with them after you have it all set up, because you've done the prep work for them. I need a cook or chef to actually do the routine stuff, checking the oven, making sure that it hasn't spilled out over and caused a bigger mess, right?
Right. And if I've set up the client so that they can be self-sufficient, sometimes they may just say, can you just check in on me before I send my stuff to my accountant, and I can just make sure that they haven't messed up the settings for inventory and payroll. And I do my magic to it to make sure the balance sheet is right, and then send that to the tax preparer. I'm not the kind of I love doing bank recs. I don't have time to do the bookkeeping. Now, if they had asked for that, guess what? I have a whole network of bookkeepers that I could say, who wants to do this one? It's a construction accounting, and they can raise their hand if they have time on their plate. So it's so nice to build a resource network of people that provide the same level of customer service as you, and understand that when you are handing them over, that you want them, to make you look good. Now, I did find that it's real easy to just say, oh, here's my nonprofit person. If you take the time to build the trust, do a Zoom call with your customer and the new partner you're working with to do their part of the cooking the book, so to speak, making the souffle. If you give them their part and you can say, I'm here for the balance sheet stuff, but she's going to help do the donation setup or she's going to take over. Don't just toss them to the, just don't do it via email. It's an easier sell if you do it and you do a warm handoff, I found,
Right.
than just assuming that they're going to take over.
Right.
So to
It's
me,
not like think of a relay race. There's a process to passing the baton so that it's nice and smooth and they don't break stride. If you just get to the point of where you're going to, okay, it's your turn, take the toss it to them. They may drop it. They may, there's a procedure, and that's what you're referring to there.
Speaking of that, it just made me think of another thing where it's really good to do follow up with your customers. And if you're going to just literally, have that understanding with your partner, is this going to be your partner from here on out? Are you going to, be real clear about what parts you're going to deal with, and send feedback to the customers or reach out and say, how did that go? Because you certainly don't want to partner up with somebody that ghosts the client. And I've had that happen too. You're certain that they're going to do a good job. So stay active and part of the process, and then everybody wins.
Now, obviously, we can't meet and partner together at this stage of the game because you need to be socially distant these days. But you built those relationships at conferences and physical meetings and things of that nature. You and I have a different perspective on networking groups like
Yes.
BNI or Chamber of Commerce and those types of things, where I've had a great experience in my networking group. You not so much, but BNI is a nationally, it's actually a world largest networking group there, but there's a pros and cons to that. I mean, the costs. There's a cost involved. There's a forced networking, I guess, where they meet every week and they talk about their business, and that's how you get to know, like, and trust people. But if you're talking about the partnerships that you're dealing with, where like I need a bookkeeper for the stuff that I'm dealing with, you're probably not going to find that kind of partnership in that kind of organization. Now, one of our members and one of our great mutual friends, Susan Humphreys, she uses Chamber of Commerce to find and seek out IT people. Like, yes. She just goes for them solely for IT, and what she'll do is she'll go, find someone there, because they love to mix with food. And she'll go looking specifically for computer technicians and just say, hey, you make computers work, I make QuickBooks work, we need each other, and then just exchange information, and that's how she's built partnerships. So there's strategic partnerships in that regard. Think about everything that a business actually needs to work with, and you can connect with those types of people in that kind of contact sphere, and pass clients back and forth where you specialize in one area of that business, as far as the business services, and then you've got a website guy that you work back and forth with, or promotional products guy that you work with, or the IT. So those strategies are utilized, or that's another possibility of building and leveraging partnerships. And that's my perspective. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I love interrupting. I don't know if you've noticed that, but when the thought hits me, I'm like, oh, it's going to leak out of my brain. So keep in mind the return of investment. Like BNI works for Dan. He can track where he's got his leads from and make sure it's worth the investment and so forth. And Susan can do that as well with Chamber of Commerce. Sometimes with partners too, you could just have this mutual agreement. You give me one, I give you one, back and forth, and don't exchange a commission. Or if it's heavy on one end or the other, work out some sort of a fair commission that makes it makes everybody feel good about it, so that you're not taking advantage of somebody that's, it's one-sided versus the other. Um,
Now, you did mention something about, focusing on a niche. So there's a
oh,
great advantage of doing that where, you get into the legal profession, for example, you start to know everything about the legal profession. Now you're a trusted advisor when it comes
yes,
to, accounting and bookkeeping and managing a practice in that particular industry. So,
definitely.
you get really deep into the apps that they need, and you can make those recommendations. So, when an attorney comes to you, you basically got a whole menu of options that you can work specifically with them. So, you can start building those partnerships with other industry professionals who are nonprofit, for example, or construction. So now you've got um, a referral network built in that way, where you can just kind of pass. Okay, well, like I know that I'm going to take care of my legal people, but not so much with a general contractor. But I got a partner that we can work with, and then again, pass the baton, working with them. What were you going to add to that, or
Yes.
before
So
he leaks out?
speaking of that, I tried not to interrupt. Speaking of that, it's very important once you select what your niche is that you invest in yourself and you find out, you come up with the right tech stack, and you have one for QBO and you have one for desktop, and be flexible. Or if you only want to do QBO, find someone who wants to do the desktop version with the right apps. But figure it out and be the expert. There's so many apps out there, and there's nobody, we don't have a big, deep resource of go-to people. So whatever niche that you pick, one or two, that you are the person. If I need to call and say, nonprofit, you say, oh, this is the product we recommend. And not only recommend because you met them at a conference and they gave you good swag, but because you know how to set them up and you're setting up the customer for success. So be that person. You can take that one step further. You can create a Facebook group, you can create a LinkedIn group, and you can carry on conversations where you're giving away proper information without giving everything away. Answer questions, be that go-to person, build your credibility, build your reputation, build your brand as the go-to person for whatever it is. And that's where you're going to naturally find customers or more pro advisors that need help, like us. We don't want to do it.
Exactly.
We need those. We don't want someone that just learned this new app and loves it because they got a soft t-shirt. We want someone that really knows it. Soft t-shirts are fun.
Yeah, you love those soft t-shirts.
We
That's like the
are crazy
quality. I mean, that's like a qualification for
vendors.
yeah, for vendors. Is your shirt soft?
T-Sheets set the bar high on that and they did excellent marketing. So we all copy them. And, I think it was like a secret what company they used. So we all looked in the tag and we got on the phone and we found it. Next level.
Exactly.
So you can do
So
it. You can get the soft t-shirt, but no, we really need to know the product so that the customer's set up for success and isn't running mad that somebody gave them a bad recommendation.
all right. So I put your blog that you wrote on your complete business partner site in the comments for reference. And one thing that we're trying to do at School of Bookkeeping is build that
Learning center.
network. Well, that
Oh,
network of businesses that are in a specific niche.
neat.
So
Find them.
on schoolofbookkeeping.com is a business directory. As a member of School of Bookkeeping, you can create a listing, or if you're not a member, you can go and find
Look,
that listing.
find a
So you
friend.
can search that listing there, and find that kind of vetted partner. So you can put a listing in there if you're a member of School of Bookkeeping, and specify what niche you specialize in. And then if you're not a member, you can go and search that for, okay, I'm looking for a real estate person that can really help me set up QBO or desktop or something else even. So
Yeah.
that's something that you can do in schoolofbookkeeping.com. I'm going to put the business directory as a link in the comments, so you can go and check it out and you know
Give us
see what there is
feedback.
there. Yeah,
Let us know.
give us your feedback. Even setting up a free trial, you can create the business listing and directory there as well. So those are the things that we're kind of talking about today with leveraging those partnerships and building a network and building partnerships between you and other people.
And I
Yeah.
failed to
Go.
mention the biggest one of all, Dan.
Oh,
Don't leave money on the table. Sign up to be partners in any of the products you recommend. My parent company, whatever I call my other CBG, we're one of the leading partner programs for pro advisors that you can join. There's others, not just me, but there's others, and they give you an opportunity to earn commission on products you're already recommending. So don't leave money on the table. You can work out your own partnership with other people and support stuff to see a way that you can earn money on that, or just I give one to Dan and he gives one to me. If that's all up to you. All the vendors generally have partner programs. Join the different ones that offer it. And if you just love it, some of them don't offer it. Just recommend it and move on.
mm-hmm.
If they offer it,
So
don't miss out.
right, right. That's a great ad there, because sometimes you just recommend it based on what you like and not even realizing that they have a referral link or some kind of partner program that you can participate in. Usually it's low cost or no cost because it's business. It's business that they're missing out on as you are recommending their product to them. So that's really kind of what we want to talk about today with leveraging partnerships today. Next week, we're going to go switch back to the workshop demonstration, types of things. We're going to talk about the handling retainers and deposits in QuickBooks and how that actually handles. So join us again next week for another Workshop Wednesday. And it's always great to see you on the Abo group, and you can watch us on YouTube and also on schoolbookkeeping.com.
That's right. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.